Hi, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Paul. I am the owner of Twist Yoga, and I was asked to do a quick video on why I chose to do teacher training. It's a little confusing since I own a yoga studio, but when I opened up the yoga studio in 2013, I was not a yoga teacher. I just was a yoga student looking for a yoga studio closer to my house. So for the first year and a half, I just hired all the teachers, the most amazing teachers in the area, to teach at the studio. But when we finally decided to host our own teacher training, after about 2 years of planning, with Allie writing the manual from scratch and doing all of her research with all of the other trainings that she had worked on, and daydreaming about what would make the best teacher training, I decided to participate in the very first teacher training. I'm not a super experienced yogi. I had only been practicing kind of here and there yoga for a few years before I did the teacher training, but I did know that I wanted to learn more about yoga. So I came from it a little bit different perspective. I didn't think I was going to be a teacher, but I wanted to know enough so that I could jump in and sub as needed. So that was my idea when I first started the training, and it's so fun to think back about that in 2014 because I really was at the beginning of the journey, and it was really interesting for me to see the different people in my teacher training class. Some were in there saying, I definitely want to be a teacher. I want to make a career switch. When I finish teacher training, I want to be a full-time yoga teacher. Some people said, absolutely not. I'm never going to be a yoga teacher. That is not my calling. I just want to learn more about yoga, and I want to take this time for myself to learn more. And then we had people in the middle, in between. So I was at the kind of the end of, I'm not going to be a teacher, but I might have to teach. And so went through the teacher training, and the more I learned and the more I realized I really, really liked sharing the yoga, although I was extremely intimidated. I was definitely the most intimidated person in there about teaching yoga. Being the studio owner and being surrounded by all these amazing teachers in the studio, I had complete impersonation syndrome. Not impersonation, imposter syndrome. I always felt like I was an impersonator too, but I had imposter syndrome where I kept thinking, no way am I gonna be able to teach like these other teachers. There's no way, they've been teaching forever. And that's true. And I still can't teach like they do because they will always have been teaching longer than me. But when I finished with training, I realized that I had something to offer. I was the person who was a new yogi, extremely stiff. I am the least flexible person that you will ever meet. And I really had the view from teaching as a student. I remembered what it was like when I first went into yoga classes, and I felt super intimidated. Sometimes the teachers would be speaking in Sanskrit. I had no idea what those words were, but I'd been going enough that I felt weird, like, what exactly does namaste mean? Or when you say bakasana, what is that? So I really thought, okay, well, maybe this is my calling. Maybe I can remember what it's like to be a new yoga teacher. So I first started out teaching some of the intro classes, and then I started teaching our teen classes, which was a big passion of mine. I have 2 teenagers, and I always wished that I would have started yoga earlier. And I think if you could start in your teen years or even younger, an amazing gift to be able to give. So I really honed my teaching, focusing on those 2, and I could take what I learned in the teacher training with Allie and Jess and just break it apart a little bit and remember the questions that I had, and always remembering that there were no stupid questions. You could be taking class forever and the teacher could be talking about I don't know, your shoulder blades or some part of the spine, and you could just say, you know what, I've heard you say that word over and over. What is that word? So I was trying to demystify that and just remind people, hey, when we say Ujjayi breath, I know it's a weird word, but this is what the Ujjayi breath is. When we say namaste at the end of class, this is what namaste means. So the teacher training for me just opened up the door for me to take more trainings, learn more, and just discover what I like to teach. So I think that most people on that teacher training journey will start out in one place, They'll maybe move along as the training happens, and then they may graduate. They may take a little time off and say, hey, you know, that was awesome. I don't think I want to be a teacher, but I know so much more about yoga and I'm fascinated with prenatal. I want to go into prenatal. Or the Ayurvedic section to me was just mind-blowing. I want to go learn about Ayurvedic and like the medicine side and the health side of yoga. So everyone has a different way of coming, but that's my story. And I hope that you, if you are considering doing a teacher training, I hope that this gives you a little insight into my reason for doing it. And I look forward to meeting you and answering any questions that you have about yoga teacher training. Namaste.